Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to show you how to set up and run your own AI using Python. So let's get started. First, you're going to head over to the Ollama website and download the client for Windows. If you're using Linux, you should just be able to download their Linux version and follow along, since this is Python. Once it's downloaded, if you're using Windows, you can just go into the file manager and double-click, then run through the installer. Once it's done installing, open your command prompt and type this command. If it doesn't give you any errors, then you know it's been installed successfully. This next command will try to run the selected AI model. If you do not have it installed, it will automatically install. We're going to be running one called Tiny Dolphin. We're using that one because it's so lightweight it can run on basically any computer. After you've downloaded it for the first time, it won't have to ever download anything again. You can even turn your Wi-Fi off and it will still work. Once the AI has been installed, you should see this prompt. That means it's been installed successfully. You can now start talking with the AI that you've just downloaded. Tiny Dolphin isn't the only AI that you can use. As long as you have a decent computer, you should be able to run any of the AIs that they have listed on their website. If your computer is powerful enough, I recommend downloading the Llama 2. It requires more processing power, but it's 100 times better than the Tiny Dolphin. So as you can see, the AI runs pretty well, but it isn't very useful to us when it's running in the terminal. We want to be able to use it from inside our Python program. Before we can start coding, you need to run this command in your terminal to install the correct Python library. To test if it's been installed successfully, try to import it into your Python code. If it doesn't give you any errors, you know you've installed it successfully. Now we're ready to start coding. First thing that we need is a list that can store all of our messages. Now we will create the function that sends the messages to the AI. This code right here will take our message and put it into the messages list. This list keeps track of the total history for your chat. Now we will actually make the request to the AI. This model variable will tell the AI which model we want to use. If you downloaded a different one than the Tiny Dolphin, make sure you set it to whichever one you downloaded. Next, we will pass in our messages list and tell it we want to stream the response. Streaming means it will print out each word as it is generating it, not all at once. After we've made the request to the AI, we will actually need to print out the output. It can be achieved by using a for loop that gets each word generated and prints it all at once. After we print the response, we're going to want to add the AI's response into the chat history also. The point of having a history list is so that you can ask the AI questions about previous questions and answers. Finally, we will need to create the main loop that runs the function each time you send a message. And that is all the code we need. Let's give it a run and see if it works. It does not in fact work because I put the while loop inside of the function. You need to make sure it is outside of the function. Now the code should work perfectly fine. Or does it? We are getting this error because the AI needs to be running for it to work. It can be started pretty easily by using your command prompt. The PS command can be used to check which models are running. You can also use the list command to print which models you have downloaded. We need to run the same AI that we have specified in the code. This one is the tiny dolphin. If you would like to run a different one than I am running, make sure you change this one line in the Python code. Then use the run command to run your AI. Since we've already downloaded this AI, we do not need to download it again, and it starts up faster. Once it starts up, you can close the terminal. The Python code should run fine now. As you can see, it responds pretty quickly considering that it's running completely offline on my computer. It can even answer more complicated questions. Chat history works too because right here it references the previous message. This method works fine for most cases, except for the fact that it doesn't work with the multi-threading library, meaning you can't use it in games. The previous method was from the documentation, but this next method I came up with myself, and it runs a little better for things like games, because it does work with the multi-threading library. If you don't know what multi-threading is, basically, instead of running tasks one after the other and pausing the program until one is completed, it will run the program in the background, meaning the game can stay running. So far, we imported 2 of the default libraries, and we are setting up the variables that keep track of the history and the AI model. We then create a function that sends the message to the AI. In the beginning of the function, there's 3 lines of code that basically keep the user from sending the double quotes, the single quote, or the tilde character to the AI. It causes errors for some reason. Also, if you just want the code for this and don't want to write it yourself, check the description for the GitHub link. Next thing we're going to do is append the message to the chat history, like before. Before sending the chat history to the AI, we need to convert it into a big string. Now we can send the message to the AI. This is a bit different than we did before. Basically what we're doing is making the request directly to the AI's server that's running on our computer. It's called a server, but it still runs completely offline and without Wi-Fi. What this does is insert the AI model variable into this spot, and right here it inserts the history string. Now what we need to do is to parse the response so it's actually readable. Now we can use the loop to load the response into a string that can be returned and printed. I'm putting it inside a try except because sometimes the user can input characters that just cause the entire program to crash. I have no idea why it does this. Here I've pasted in almost the exact same lines as we did before to make sure that the AI can't return any illegal characters also. Now we need to add the AI's response to the chat history. Finally, we need to return the sentence. Now that the function is done, we can make a little loop that lets us talk to the AI. We are done. Now let's start up the AI and make sure it works. Starting it up is the exact same thing as we did before. Once it starts up, you can close the terminal. As you can see, it works the exact same way as before, but just slightly better. There is one issue though. Even after you close down the program, the AI continues to run in the background on your computer. It will eventually shut off, but I'll show you how to fix that. Import the OS library and add these 3 lines where the program is exited. These make sure that the AI is completely closed down and doesn't continue to use up all your RAM. As you can see, it works fine. You can use the ps command to check if it's still running, and as you can see, it is not. If you made it this far, then thank you for watching, and leave a like and subscribe. I am going to be making a part 2 where I show you how to actually put this into a Python game, so stay tuned for that.